Hi, my name's Valentic, Director and Buyer's Advocate at Advantage Property Consulting. One of the common questions we're asked is, do we favour commercial property or residential property? Now, commercial property has some pros and cons. Firstly, for the pros, usually you're dealing with longer leases. They can be 5-year leases with 5-year options, which can be attractive. The tenant pays all the outgoings, the rates, the body corporate fees, all the maintenance and upkeep of that property is usually paid by the tenant. Another advantage is that usually the commercial properties are generally less maintenance than a property which is residential, and you've got tenants moving in and out every 6 to 12 months. So there can be a lot more maintenance required. There can be a lot more sort of upkeep to those sort of properties. So there's some of the advantages of buying commercial property, though there are some disadvantages as well. Firstly, it is harder to get finance for commercial properties because the banks won't lend as much. They'll ask for larger deposits, often 30 to 40% cash up front, versus a residential property where a lot of banks will lend 100, 105% even. Also, the interest rates are a lot higher for commercial properties. They can be as high as 2% higher than the residential investment rates. So that's another thing to take into account. Often they can be more expensive as well, so you're requiring more capital than buying a small 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in the residential area. Some of the other disadvantages with buying commercial property are that there are no insurance companies that will offer landlords insurance, because they see that as a bigger risk, having a commercial tenant versus a residential tenant, whereas residential will offer the landlord's insurance for most properties. So if the tenant does the runner or does malicious damage to the property, you're not covered by any insurance or landlord's insurance. Other disadvantages are that even though you think you've got a long-term lease, if that tenant is to get into a difficult financial position and do the runner or stop paying the rent or wind themselves up at a company, you haven't got that secure lease anymore. So you basically haven't got the security of that 5-by-5-year lease, because that lease can be terminated and you've got to then find another tenant and sue the current tenant for lost rents and also for not going ahead with the contract. So these are some of the disadvantages. The other one as well is that there is requirements for maintenance as well, and that often those maintenance costs, even though the tenant pays them, can be quite a lot more in a commercial property. The body corporate fees can be higher, and if the tenant stops paying those, you've got to pay them out of your own pocket as well. So these are some of the pros and cons of buying commercial property versus residential. They have their advantages and disadvantages, and we've often, over the last 20 years, bought commercial property for more advanced investors rather than your starting out investor. Please don't hesitate to get on our website, check out information about our Buyer's Advocate, Seller's Advocate, property management, group block purchases, as well as subscribe to our free weekly and monthly market updates. We look forward to seeing you next time.